I don't want to do this anymore.
Here we go, Steelers, here we go. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Steel Nation. I'm your host, Brian, and what exactly was that game? I can't tell if we're bad, like bad, like Broncos bad, or if the Texans are just that good. I can't tell. As you can see, I'm wearing a nice shirt. I'm wearing a tie. I have a suit jacket over there. That's because I was at a memorial service earlier today while the game was going on. Whose memorial service, you might ask? Our team's playoff chance. That's the memorial service. We were commiserating about our team's awful performance. Now, obviously, that's not true, but it should be at this point. Like, what I was watching, the few times that I was watching live, was abysmal. I mean, let's start off with the facts, okay? Going into this, fact is, we lost badly to the Texans, of all teams, okay? And now I understand a lot of people are angry. I want to bring up something, though, that I don't see many people on like the Facebook groups or on like online in general talking about, and that's that we're not the only team that's lost to what was presumed to be a bad team. Firstly, with the Texans, last week, Jacksonville lost to them. So, that's something. The Cardinals, they beat the Cowboys a couple weeks ago, or last week, or I think it was last week. Bad team, or what we thought was a bad team. I mean, aside from that, it's not happened all that often, but, so this isn't unheard of. What is unheard of, though, is just how badly we played. Now, I'm going to talk about it. I do have the statistics down here with me, because I want to give you guys an exact idea of how thoroughly they whooped our butts. Like, it is bad child level of whooping. Think for instance, you stole a car. You stole your parents' car as a child, and they found out and they whooped you. That is what we went through. We stole the Texans' car, and they bent us over their knee and just whapped us across the butt cheeks. It was, honestly, it was horrible. It was awful. We did not score a single touchdown this game, okay? We looked like the Broncos. We were that bad. We are Russell Wilson Broncos level bad. I wouldn't say we are Justin Fields Bears level bad yet, but we're getting close. Like, we are one of the worst teams in this league. Like, the bottom five at this point are the Cardinals, the Bears, the Broncos, and the Steelers. How? Like, by all metrics, we had the best offseason of any team in the league. We had an A+ draft class. We brought in so many free agents. Kenny Pickett was looking incredible throughout the preseason and the offseason, through training camp. Everything was looking good. Deontay Johnson was looking good. George Pickens was improving massively. And we come in here and Pickett throws for 114 yards. Okay? He made 15 completions out of the 23 he threw. Now, that's not terrible stats. Like, that's a good halftime stat. But let's compare that to C.J. Stroud, okay? The rookie Texans quarterback who threw 16 for 30, okay? One more completion for 7 more throw attempts and made 306 yards, okay? He got 2 throwing touchdowns and then a couple of rushing touchdowns, which I'll get to. No interceptions, which is something that Kenny Pickett had, was an interception. And then, also, we had an average of 5 yards per carry, 5 yards per throw. Not bad. They had an average of 10.2. A rookie quarterback on the Texans not only outgunned us, but more than doubled our yards. That is insane. That is stupidly insane. Like, we once again looked like a varsity team. We looked like we came from a high school, but this time we were playing a team that even a varsity team would have beaten last year. The Texans were supposed to be bad. That was the whole thing going into the season. The Texans are bad. The Bears are bad. The Cardinals are tanking. Doesn't look like it. I don't understand what is happening right now. Like, I'm watching this season, and I'm confused. I'm confused why this is the season I chose to start a Steelers channel. I could have started a Steelers channel years ago. I could have been talking about the Steelers when they were good, when we had Ben, when everybody loved Mike Tomlin, and now I go into the Facebook groups and it's Fire Canada, get rid of Mike Tomlin, bench Kenny Pickett, bring out Rudolph, and it's like, firstly, I do not agree with most of that. I will say, hashtag Fire Canada. I want you guys to spread that everywhere. Go onto Twitter, into my comment section, onto Facebook, because Matt Canada needs to go. Maybe he gets fired and nothing changes. At least then we'll have a competent OC who can, do something. Because if Canada leaves and nothing changes, there's nothing lost. Okay? Because then we know it was probably Canada, but he wasn't the whole problem. Because he's not the whole problem, and I'm going to talk about that. First of all, our offensive line just sucked. Like, the defense picked us apart piece by piece like we were string cheese. Like, the pocket lasted no more than a second and a half on most plays. Pickett was on the run constantly. It was bad. Like, the fact that he had to run at all is just frustrating to me. Because he got rushing yards. He had 9 rushing yards on 2 rushing attempts, which is a lot. Like, you shouldn't need to have any rushing yards as a quarterback. Your job is to handle the ball, give it to a running back whose job is to get those rushing yards, or put it downfield into the hands of a receiver whose job is then to get more yards. And, like, he is our 3rd best running back of 4. Okay, because Calvin Austin III took a carry as well for 5 yards. But while we're talking about running backs, Najee Harris, he was fine, I guess. He had some good plays. I will say, the offensive line did their jobs once or twice and opened up a hole for Najee. And when there was a hole, he was able to run. He could shed a couple tackles, but there was never a hole. Like, there were only a few times where a hole opened for Najee. Warren, on the other hand, and I don't know why he doesn't get the ball more often, he is much better at breaking through holes. Like, Najee can, if he gets a hole, he can utilize it. Warren can make holes. And from everything I saw, Warren was the better of the 2 running backs. So, now it says here he had an average of 3.6 yards per carry. I don't know why, but that just feels off. Because he had the ball 8 times, he went 29 yards. Something about that just seems weird to me. Because there was one drive And at this point, I turned off the game. I went back and I watched it later, but I don't even remember watching this drive. But while I'm sitting there on my phone talking to a couple of my cousins, and we're watching the game like play out on the ESPN Plus app, I'm seeing rushing, 5-yard rushing, Jaylen Warren. 3-yard rushing, Jaylen Warren. 2-yard rushing, Jaylen Warren. 4-yard rushing, Jaylen Warren. It's like Jaylen. And then we get a different play. And it was a pass play to Jaylen Warren. And I'm like, what is happening? And like, I have him on my fantasy team. I loved that he was getting a lot more carries that time. But he only went like 10, maybe 15 yards in that entire span. And then he had the receiving yard, which doesn't count towards rushing. At least I don't think it does. Let me look down here. Yeah, it doesn't count towards receiving. He had 6 receiving receptions for 26 yards total. Najee Harris is our number 1 receiver. And he caught 1 ball. 1. I don't know what's happening at this point. I truly don't. He got 32 yards on 1 catch. Whereas George Pickens, who was supposed to be our number 1 receiver on 3 catches, on 3 of them, got 25 yards. That is 8 yards per carry. Najee Harris got more than that with 1. What's happening? Like, we played abysmally. And that's not even to mention our defense. Like, our defense looked like Swiss cheese. I know I'm making a lot of cheese references, but it's true. Like, we looked really, really bad out there. And I wanna shout out Tom Grossi real quick. I know he'll probably never see these videos, but I want to say I watched his video on Thursday night's game, Packers against the Lions, and he's a Packers fan if you weren't aware. And I feel so bad for you, Tom, if you're watching this, or for anyone else, I feel so bad for him, because the emotion going through his eyes throughout that entire video are the same emotions I feel right now. Because we had what was, in all intents and purposes, a good game last week. We looked good. We looked like we could beat teams. And then to come out today and put up this lousy performance was just frustrating and saddening. And I wish something had changed, but it didn't. And I don't know what to do at this point. I don't know what's going to fix it. Also, Pickett got injured. And this is how bad things got. Okay? I'm sitting there talking to my cousins. And I'm looking down. And I see Mitch Trubisky pass. And the first words out of my mouth are, oh my gosh, they benched Kenny. Now, I found out later that he was taken off the field because he was injured. But at first, my thought was he played so badly, they're like, screw it, Trubisky, get in here. And then just went with Trubisky. And everybody else, like several other people on the Facebook group thought the same thing. Like, oh my gosh, they're benching Kenny Pickett for Mitchell Trubisky. But no, he was just injured. I hope he gets better soon, but good Lord. That was a rough game. As for the Texans, I gotta give them some credit. They looked really good. For a team that's been the laughingstock of the NFL since they came into the league in 2000, they looked really good. And honestly, if this becomes the year that they elevate to the level that the rest of the NFL has been at one point or another, I wouldn't be sad. I wouldn't be upset. Sure, they beat us. But the Texans have been the joke, the butt of every single joke the NFL has made since they came in. And if they can go this season and maybe not win a Super Bowl, but make it to the playoffs or even just win a lot of games, that would be amazing. That would be an incredible accomplishment for them. For a team that nobody expects to be anything. Now, obviously, I would have liked us to win this game. And that's how every NFL fan, reacts to a loss of this magnitude. I mean, sure, it wasn't 20-70, but it hurts more, I think. Because, well, yes, you had a team run up 70 points on you. It was the Miami Dolphins that did that, and they're a good team. And Broncos fans figured that the Broncos might not be as great as they were under their sheriff. And so the Dolphins putting up 70 points, it was absolutely dreadful, but I don't think it was as saddening as the Steelers, who everyone thought was going to be a sleeper pick for the Super Bowl, for at least the playoffs, to go 6-30. We got 2 field goals. That's it. That's all we got. And to the Texans of all teams, a team that everybody assumes every year is going to be bad. I think that hurts more than being outscored 70 points. But that's just me. That's because I'm a Steelers fan. Maybe I'm biased. I mean, I'm definitely biased. Look behind me. Look what am I talking about? Of course I'm biased. But I don't know. At least it wasn't a divisional game. I will say that. This, I think, puts us probably in either second or third place in the division, because the Ravens beat the Browns. We were all tied, which puts the Ravens in first because they're 3-1 currently. And then the Browns, because we beat them, I think would be in third, below us. So I think it's looking the Ravens, us, the Browns, and then the Bengals. Because the Bengals got rocked as well. Like, this whole division is crumbling like a house of cards. Like, we just stacked all of our cards, and then just the NFL just came and whipped them all over. It's bad. It's looking really, really bleak for us this season. But the season has just begun. This is week 4. We've got so much more to come. Next week, we play the Ravens. We play Baltimore. And then after that, we have the bye. Now, predictions going forward. Based on today's game, I have low expectations for the game against Baltimore. I want us to score 1 point. That's it. 1 point. However, not 1 point, 1 touchdown. Sorry. I want us to score 1 touchdown. However, I hope we win. That's how it is. I hope we win every game, but I'm optimistic. I'm optimistically reasonable. I know we're probably going to lose to the Ravens. I assumed we would beat the Texans easily. We didn't. Maybe this is an indication of how the game against the Jags is going to go. I have no idea. But my other prediction is that Matt Canada will either be fired after this week or during the bye week. And if he is not, then there's a really good possibility that Tomlin is, or that either Tomlin is doing something, or that Canada has got something on somebody. Because this is getting ridiculous. Like, the entire game, I could predict what was going to happen. Until that last drive with Jaylen Warren, it was run, pass, punt. Run, pass, punt. Run, pass, punt. If we ever got down the field, it was run, pass. Run, pass. Run, pass, punt. We barely ever made it to the red zone. It sucked. Like, we sucked. But as I always say, that's football. You win the games you're supposed to lose, and you lose the games you're supposed to win. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave that like button. And if you want to join me in my wallowing and in my suffering, then go ahead and subscribe to Steel Nation. We post videos like this every single week, right after the games, or, in terms of last week, the day before the Thursday game. Sorry. That was on me. I didn't get that recorded until late. Make sure you leave a comment letting me know how you guys think the Steelers did with your complaints, your criticism. It's a safe space, but please be nice to other people's opinions. I've been Brian, and as always, go Steelers. Please. Please.